Hi everyone, my name is Lauren. Welcome to my little corner of the internet. I have actually wanted to start a YouTube channel for the longest time and just felt like I never had it in me to do it. So finally, here we are. I primarily wanted to start my channel to talk about books because reading is my absolute favorite hobby. It is all I want to do except for when I'm in a reading slump, of course, which is unfortunately where we are right now. But other than that, I wanted to talk about just lifestyle content, like feeling like you're sitting having coffee with a friend. I went through a pretty traumatic relationship and divorce just in the last few years, and I would love to have a space to share my experience with other people and the things that I've learned and just kind of that whole journey. And then I also work as a mental health clinician, and mental health is just something that I am extremely passionate about, both personally and professionally. So really, I just want this space to be about all the things that I love to talk about, and hopefully you enjoy that too, and you'll stick around. But to kind of introduce myself, I picked out like 12 questions from the new YouTuber tag, and I figured we could just kind of get to know each other. So the first one is, what is your favorite book? Hard question, but I think my favorite book, if I had to pick one right now off the top of my head, is The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides, if that's how you pronounce his last name. That is one of the first books I read when I got back into reading in 2022, which was actually when I was in the thick of my unhealthy, toxic relationship, if you will. That was when I found my way back to reading. So I think for that reason, that book will always have a special place in my heart. And then on top of that, it was just one of the best books I've ever read. I truly wish I could reread that book for the first time. All right, second is, what are your hobbies? So obviously I already mentioned that reading is my favorite hobby. That is my number one. If you can count watching BookTube as a hobby, that's one of them too. Other than that, I would say anything creative. I love painting, drawing, coloring, although I don't do those as much as I should. I love those. I also love puzzles, which I also don't do as often as I should. What social media platform do you use the most? If you count YouTube as a social media platform, definitely YouTube. Other than that, I would say maybe Instagram. But honestly, I'm not a huge social media person. I feel like I don't fit with my generation in regards to that. But I really just don't love it. It does not make my mental health feel very good. Where did I grow up? So I live in Massachusetts and I have grown up here. I have lived here my entire life. Will I go anywhere else? Who knows? We'll see what life has in store for me. But for now, still exactly where I have always been. I actually only live like 15-ish minutes from where I grew up, so I have not gone too far. Do I have any pets? Yes, I do. I have one rabbit, actually. I'm kind of surprised he has not made an appearance yet, but his name is Ghost, and he has a very spunky personality. He's about 3 pounds, I think, but he's 3 pounds of attitude. How many siblings do I have? I have one sibling. I have a younger sister who is 5 years younger than me, and no, we were not close growing up, but we are now. Once we became, I would say, like young adults, that was really when we started to get closer. And I think that's just when you realize that life is just not that serious in terms of like the stuff that you fight with your siblings over. It's not that deep. It's not worth not having a relationship over for the most part. An interesting fact about me is I was actually adopted. I was adopted as an infant, but that is a fun fact about me, which is something else I would love to talk about more and discuss here on my channel, to do more of a deep dive into all of that. And definitely, if you have any questions about that, please feel free to ask, and definitely we can talk about that more. My favorite YouTubers, all right, hard question again, but some of my favorite YouTubers are Sarah Crowley, for sure, off the bat. Taylor Renee, I think her channel name is Taylor Renee Lifestyle. Cyan Gore, Hallie Jones, Ashlyn Kaylee, and then a bestie in real life is Gabby Keefe. Definitely give her a like and subscribe. I will link all of these people's channels down below. I mean, I know everyone probably knows several of them, but I will definitely put them down in the description. They're all amazing creators. I feel like they're all just so positive, and that's part of why I love the booktube space, is I feel like it's just such a positive environment overall, and the world needs more of that, specifically the social media world. What is the first thing you do after going home from work or school? The first thing I do when I get home from work is put on my comfy clothes. I work in an inpatient hospital, and so I wear scrubs. So it's not even like my work clothes are that uncomfortable, though they are probably not the cleanest by the end of the day. But no, the first thing I do is put on my comfy clothes. So my sweatpants or lounge pants, and you will find me in my baggy sweatshirt and sweatpants for the rest of the evening. Do you prefer tea or coffee? Coffee through and through. I'm a coffee girl. I started drinking coffee when I was, I think, 13, which for better or for worse, I don't know. I mean, at that point I was probably drinking more like straight sugar, but I can't help it now. I love it. I really do. What are some of your favorite TV shows? I am definitely a creature of habit and a creature of comfort, so I will pretty much rewatch the same shows over and over and over again. So my favorite shows are The Office, Parks and Rec, Friends, New Girl, and Criminal Minds. Criminal Minds is kind of a surprise thrown in there. It did not match the vibe of the rest of those, but those shows I could rewatch over and over again and not get sick of. For me, I think there's some nostalgia to it, but also they can make me laugh when I'm in the worst mood, and there's just something really special about a show or a movie or something that can do that for you. And then the last question is, what books have changed your life? Really big question. I think one of them being Summer Romance. And now I wouldn't say necessarily that it changed my life, but it did change my perspective. Summer Romance by Annabelle Monaghan. That was actually the first romance book I ever read. And specifically, I read it before my divorce was finalized, and I was kind of in the midst of things. And I was in one of those phases of like, romance doesn't exist, love is dead, that just really in my angry phase. Or actually, I think that was the beginning of my angry phase. But that book actually opened my eyes to the romance genre. And not to say that that completely changed my perspective on love in general, but it turned me into a reader who is open to romance when I was honestly dead set against it. Other than that, I think if we're going fiction books, if we're staying on that train, then I would also say, honestly, The Silent Patient, for similar reasons that I mentioned before. But it really just sparked that love for reading that I think I had when I was younger, that I had lost for a variety of reasons. You know, one being busy with school over the years, and, you know, being in school and then going to grad school and all that, you know, you're assigned so much reading that, I mean, I did not want to read in my free time, even though I'd be reading fiction. It felt like too much brain power. So I think that The Silent Patient is really what pushed me to see that reading could be an escape, and it could be, you know, yes, it takes mental energy, but it also, I don't know, could be freeing and relaxing and honestly magical, even if it's not a fantasy book. I think reading is just so beautiful in that way. So that is all the questions that I'm going to answer today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you stick around, and I will see you in the next one.